Hello everybody, my name is Don. Thank you for to all my lovely subscribers. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Today I want to talk about an interesting subject, that is the truth behind Israeli flag. They call it the Star of David, but it's not the case. I've done some research. So there's more than one thing that God is not happy with, apart from rejecting, the Son of God is bad enough. But now I find the Israeli flag, what they have on there, has a bad, pagan origin. They say is that the Star of David, is the flag represents the Star of David, but it's nothing of the case. The hexagram, I did some research, the hexagram was brought to the Jewish people by Solomon, really. But how did he come to getting that symbol? It's because it's a hexagram, and we know that's to do with, witchcraft and paganism. Well, it's as I said, this came into the Jewish people by Solomon, who turned to witchcraft and idolatry after his marriage to the Pharaoh's daughter Sheba in 922 BC, and it became known as the Seal of Solomon. So that's what it became known as. But he fell into witchcraft and idolatry also, not only the Queen of Sheba, but because he had thousands of concubines. He turned away from, unfortunately, the path of truth, and he fell into, and this Seal of Solomon represents really Egyptian magic and witchcraft. King David had absolutely nothing to do with it, with this hexagram. After I did some study, it did not represent God's people at all. In many ways, at all, it represents Ashtaroth and Baal and Moloch. He gave himself to satanic worship, unfortunately. He started off very good, but unfortunately, he gave into satanic worship and built altars to Molech, Baal, and all sorts of things. And this star, Molech represents Saturn or Satan. And let me read this false Seal of Solomon, or this star, is written in this Bible, Acts, if you don't believe it, Acts 7:42-43, which said, I'll start from verse 41 in Acts 7. So they made a calf in those days, as time of Moses, and brought up a sacrifice to the idol, and began to enjoy themselves in the works of their hands. So God turned and handed them over to render sacred service to the army of heaven, just as it is written in the book of the prophets. It was not to me that they offered victims and sacrifices for 40 years in the wilderness, was it, O house of Israel? And here it is. But it was the tent of Molech and the star of the god Rephan. So that's what it is. It was and the star of the god Rephan that you took up, the figures which you made up to worship them. Consequently, I will deport you beyond Babylon. In other words, condemn them to exile. You see, so it was the star of the god Rephan. And that's why God gave up on them, because they turned to pagan, worship. And what happened after this is then, for 2,600 years, this star, or Seal of Solomon, was forgotten. And it says, and then it comes back after 2,600 years. It's adopted in Germany by Mayer Rothchild. Now, he becomes like the father of the Illuminati. But, to mark his house. And let me carry on reading about that. Now we go to 1743, to the father of Rothchild. You know, he, like I said, the son becomes, the Illuminati creator. And it says here, Mayer Amschel Buer, born in Frankfurt, Germany in 1743, he was a moneylender. And over his entrance of his establishment, he put a red sign. And guess what? It was this six-pointed star, but it was red. So so he put this the red sign was six-pointed star. Well, we know it represents 666, the number of Satan, which under Rothschild's instructions will end up on the Israeli flag. We'll get onto that about 200 years later. Following the death of his father, Boer takes over. He takes over his father's business following the death of his father in 1760, recognizing the significance of the red sign, and changes his name from Boer to Rothchild. Roth in German means red, and Child in German means sign. So Rothchild actually means red sign. The red sign that was hung over the entrance door with a six-pointed star, which represents Satan. Can you believe that? This symbol with two interlocking triangles represents the male and female having, sex. It's very, very bad. The seal of Solomon was linked to worship of Ashtaroth, or Astarte, or Molech. To do with the worship of Saturn, Saturnalia, fertility, sex, fertility, and the number of Satan. So it's all bad. So how did it get onto the flag of Israel? So how did this get onto the flag of Israel, the pagan sign? Well, it says here, I found out in 1948, 3 years after the Second World War, the Rothschilds, we're talking about 200 years after the red sign was put above the establishment in Germany. Rothschilds, what he did is, as I said, is Illuminati, an elite, a Satanist, bribed President Harry S. Truman in 1948, the 33rd US president, to recognize Israel. Rothschild owned Zionist territory, but not true Jewish territory, but Rothschild who bought territory in Israel as a sovereign state. And what do you call it? In other words, Rothschild bribed this one here, Harry S. Truman, by giving him, it says here, £2 million US dollars to bribe him so they could recognize the sovereign state of Israel in 1948, which he gave him to help him in his campaign to win his second term his term as president. They then declare Israel to be the sovereign Jewish state in 1948 after he got this bribe, Harry S. Truman, £2 million. It says here they declare Israel to be a sovereign Jewish state in Palestine, and within half an hour, President Harry S. Truman was, it says declared US to be the first nation to recognize Israel. And now we go to the flag. He also wanted, this Rothschild, who was Illuminati, the flag of Israel to have this symbol here. you know, that symbol there, which we know is the seal of Solomon. So it says here, and after Israel was declared a sovereign state, because he was bribed with £2 million, very extreme, by Rothchild. He wanted this the seal of Solomon to be put onto the flag. It says here, I found out that when the flag was first unveiled in 1948, there was so much tremendous opposition from the Jews there to the emblem on the flag, or this Rothchild, you know, symbol, the so-called Star of David. It says it angered Jews. You can actually check online, you know, they've got some live footage on YouTube. It really angered the Jews. There was so much tremendous opposition, but yet they still put it there onto the flag. And what they would have liked is the oldest Jewish symbol should have been the menorah rather than this Star of David. The menorah, you know, is the candlestick, seven-headed candlestick. Is a religious symbol. In Judaism, it's quite holy. You know, it was put in this menorah, used is a religious symbol. Was put in Solomon's temple, the candlestick with 7 candlesticks, and it says here it was used to burn a flame in Solomon's temple day and night. It represents God's eternal presence among the people, with the light being left to burn. That's what it represented, God's eternal presence. So you see, they were very angry, the Jews, that it didn't have the menorah on the flag, but this so-called Star of David, which has got pagan roots. So Rothschild unfortunately paid Truman, the president at the time, second term, in which he surprisingly won the second term with a £2 million that, you know, Rothschild bribed him to declare Israel, you know, a state of Israel, and also to put this symbol on the flag, pagan symbol. So I hope you liked this video and what I found out, and let me read some scriptures. Okay, something I missed before I read the scripture. In 1948, the Star of Molech, because that's what it is, the same as the Star of David, adopted as the Zionist flag at the Zionist Congress first in 1897. Flew as the flag of Israel. After 2 wars, millions died. The Holy Land is captured once again by worshippers of Molech. That's really very sad. And that's another reason why God is not happy with Israel. You know, apart from rejection, majority rejected the Son of God. And so we shall read some scriptures. Acts 18:9-10, which says, "Moreover, by night, the Lord said to Paul through a vision, 'Have no fear. Do not keep silent, because I am with you, and no man will assault you so as to do you injury, for I have many people in the city.'" Isn't that good? He said, carry on preaching. Do not fear what people say, because he will protect him. You know, and also John 11:25, which says, Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. He that exercises faith in me, even though he dies, will come to life. And everyone that is living and exercises faith in me will never die all." That's in the rapture. So what a wonderful hope. I hope you like this video. Bless you all. Thank you very much. Bye.